If what Trump did at the Capitol had happened here in Brazil, he would be facing charges just like Bolsonaro and could even risk being arrested because he attacked democracy, because he violated the Constitution. If he's going to charge us 50, we'll charge him 50.
And that's what we're talking about now, because Brazil may appeal to the World Trade Organization against the 50% tariff imposed by the United States on products we export.
Today, Cristina Lemos debuts her political column with an exclusive interview with President Lula. In the interview, President Lula called for respect for Brazil and announced the creation of a committee to monitor the diplomatic and economic crisis. Now, let's watch the first part of this conversation. Mr. President, thank you very much for talking with us here at the Palacio de Alvorada. And especially on such an important day, a day when Brazil wakes up plunged into political and economic uncertainty because of the decision announced yesterday by the American government to impose a 50% tariff on Brazilian products, starting from August 1st. You have already made an initial statement on social media and indicated reciprocity, that is, to impose tariffs on American products in return. Is that right, Mr. President?
Cristina, the first thing that needs to be clear to the Brazilian people is that the ones who must respect Brazil and look after Brazil are us Brazilians. And at the same time, we must demand that others respect us. Look, I thought President Trump's letter was an apocryphal document because it's not, customary to send correspondence to the president through the president's official website. Brazil is a country that, if President Trump knew even a little about it, he would have more respect for Brazil. Look, what you can't do is receive a letter that isn't even genuine when it comes to commercial matters. First, regarding Brazil's sovereignty, we want him to respect Brazil. Second, when it comes to the Brazilian justice system, they have to respect it just like I respect the American one. If what Trump did at the Capitol had happened here in Brazil, he would be facing charges just like Bolsonaro and could even risk being arrested because he attacked democracy, because he violated the Constitution. And I don't interfere with the judiciary because here the judiciary is autonomous, especially the Supreme Court. Third, when he talks about his platform companies, it's important for him to understand that here in Brazil, it's Brazil that sets the rules. It's the National Congress. It's the judiciary. And he can't keep saying that Brazil can't do anything about companies that aren't respecting Brazilian law. Here, you have to respect it. The third thing is when he talks about the trade letter, that's a total lack of understanding. Does he think the United States owes Brazil? That's not true. If you look at last year, we exported 40 billion and imported 47, so there was a deficit of 7. But if you look at the last 15 years of imports and services, we have a deficit of $410 billion over 15 years. Doesn't his advisory team have the sense to explain to him not to make such an affront to another country? But it's not just with Brazil. He's been trying to do this with the whole world. And make no mistake, first we will try to negotiate, but if there is no negotiation, the law of reciprocity will be put into practice. If he's going to charge us 50, we'll charge him 50. Now, what needs to be made clear, Cristina, is that the former president of the Republic should take responsibility because he is agreeing with Trump's taxation on Brazil. In fact, it was his son who went there to influence Trump, starting a letter trying to pass judgment on a case that's in the hands of the Supreme Court, a case that doesn't have any political judgment. No. What's being judged are the case files, which will have a decision from the Supreme Court. And in the case files, if it's said that the person was wrong, they will be convicted. That's how it is in Brazil. That's how we are. Respect is a good thing. I like to give it and I like to receive it. Possibly, Trump got worried about the BRICS meeting. And it's funny, because since he wasn't at the G7 meeting, we had 3 BRICS countries at the G7, India, Brazil, and South Africa. Mexico and South Korea were also there. Just so you have an idea, in the G20, the BRICS have 10 countries participating in the G20. Yeah, one of these days I'll invite him to join the BRICS. If he wants to come, we'll invite him. He can come and take part. What he can't do is think he was elected to be the world sheriff. He was elected to be the president of the United States. He can do whatever he wants within the United States. Here in Brazil, we're the ones in charge, us Brazilians.
President, many people associate this initiative by the American government, as you just mentioned, with the BRICS meeting, the BRICS agenda, and particularly with the mention of creating a currency, another way of conducting trade that isn't backed by the dollar. Do you think this point contributed to President Trump's verve in writing such a harsh letter?
The letter isn't any harsher than some things he's already said before. He even said the other day that if a new currency is created, he will punish the countries involved. And we are interested, that's true, we are interested in creating a trade currency among other countries. I'm not obligated to buy dollars to do business with Venezuela, with Bolivia, with Chile, with Sweden, with the European Union, with China. We can do it in our own currencies. Why am I forced to be tied to the dollar, which I don't control? The ones with the machine to print dollars are the United States, not us. So look, there's no problem at all. And besides, if he had a disagreement, the right thing would be to bring it up at a G20 meeting. Let's have a civilized discussion. Convince us. Let's discuss it. What he can't do is act like he owns everyone else.
Mr. President, what guidance are you giving today to the technical team, to the Itamርቲ negotiators?
Both Itamርቲ and our medic have already been talking with the United States. They've been talking since the 10% tax was imposed. Look, from a diplomatic standpoint, we have to appeal to the MC. You can, together with the MC, you can find a group of countries that were taxed by the United States and jointly file an appeal with the MC. There's a whole process we can follow for that. If none of that, works out, we'll have to apply the law of reciprocity because trade between Brazil and the United States only accounts for 1.7% of our GDP. It's not like this idea that we can't survive without the United States. It's not like that. Obviously, we like to sell. We sell 40 billion, but I'd like to sell 50, 60, 70. But we won't give up on reciprocity.